Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Robin, or A Hobbit's Reading List, and today we are going to figure out what I will be reading in the month of December, which is very busy and full of various holiday cheer. My birthday is in December, as well as Hanukkah and Christmas, so December is all around a great month, and I'm going to try to skew my reading towards the holidays because that's the most appropriate. So let's get right into it. So as I said, I will be trying as much as I can with the prompts that I am given to get holiday books. From what I know, I have at least 6 holiday books on my shelves that I haven't read yet, 4 of which I bought in the last month. So hopefully we can make that happen. I do also have 2 additional books that I have to read this month that are not seasonally themed, but that's alright. If this is your first time watching, I play a TBR game called TBR Pursuit. I use the Lord of the Rings Trivia Pursuit board, and each color represents a different genre that is representative of the 6 most popular genres I have on my physical shelves, which are LGBT, romance, fantasy, Jewish, psychology, crap. Oh, and classics. I was just like, there's 6. And then also the bigger spots at the end of each spoke represent miscellaneous. That accounts for the other categories I have on my physical shelves because I'm a very eclectic reader. I also do have a spot, the purple roll again spots, that add a book to my TBR. So it could be very busy. Could be. We'll see. I don't know what's gonna happen. I do know the goal, and then I did not finish last month's TBR, but I only had 3 books that I did not finish, which means that I don't get a consequence book, which is great because that means I can just focus on the books that I probably want to read. If I get The Count of Monte Cristo again, I got it in October and November. Let's just hope that that doesn't happen again. So I'm gonna get set up and then we're gonna get right into the game. Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention is that I do 7 rolls. So just keep that in mind. For the first roll, I get to choose pretty much which direction I'm going to, so I get to choose my first category, unless I roll a 6. I'm going to be mainly aiming for romance, because that's what a lot of my holiday books are, so. 2. Alright, so romance is orange, so right there. Okay, a romance by a BIPOC author, which should not be that hard. For the first book, it wasn't quite holiday. It's a romance by a BIPOC author. I thought I had more. I thought I had more romances in general, but also more written by people of color. So I ended up picking Cupid Calling by, and I'm so sorry, I'm going to pronounce her name wrong. Viano, Oniomoh. That's very phonetically. I'm probably wrong. Very sorry. This is about 2 men who go onto a show very reminiscent of The Bachelor. Or, I guess The Bachelorette, yeah. So one of them, Ejiro, wants to fall in love. The other one, Obria, just wants a free vacation. So they go onto the show Cupid Calling, which is very much like The Bachelorette, and they're competing with 28 other men, but they end up falling for each other. So I thought it sounded very cute, and even if it's probably not wintry, I'm actually expecting it to be a little summery, because that's typically when those like reality dating shows are filmed, I believe. I'm still hoping the vibes will fit. And it is set on like a reality dating show. I'm expecting there to be like Hallmark levels of like drama, misunderstanding, and all that sort of stuff. So I'm still expecting it to do what I want it to do. Alright, second roll. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is a classic. Either of these will be classic. I don't typically like going through the middle space. I kind of feel like that's cheating a little bit. Because it would be 1, 2, and then the third wrong. Which, I guess I could go here and get another romance. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I like how I'm like, oh, I feel like it's cheating, and then I do it. So that's great. Okay, so a romance that is a TBR veteran. I don't quite know if that fits any of my, well, we'll see. A romance that is a TBR veteran. This also did not do what I wanted it to do. I read like all the holiday books that I had on my shelf last year, which is what I would define as a veteran if it's been there for more than a year. I read all of them. And so like all the holiday books that I have, which I was right, there are 6, are the ones that I've received in the last year. So, no veterans. But I picked up Wuthering Heights because I thought it would fit the gloomy, wintry kind of feeling, even if not like the holiday spirit. So Wuthering Heights is about, oh, what's his name? Heathcliff? Yes. Heathcliff and Kathy. Heathcliff, ugh, it's a hard name, was essentially adopted by Kathy's father, and when Kathy's father passes away, Kathy's brother like bullies him horribly. But Heathcliff and Kathy love each other, but because of the bullying that he suffers, Heathcliff leaves and sort of makes a name for himself and rises up through the social standing and everything, so when he comes back, he can get revenge. So, it's a romance, but I'm not expecting it to be super cheery. So, yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'm also surprised because the audiobook, I believe, is like almost 20 hours, but looking at this font, it doesn't look, actually, it does kind of look like pretty small and tight. Never mind, I take back what I was gonna say. Alright, for the third roll, let's get out of a spoke. Or not. Okay, so that is LGBT or classic. So I'm gonna go LGBT because a lot of my romance books are queer. It is my smallest queer book, which I think works, actually. Okay, for an LGBT, that is my smallest book. I didn't have to think hard, I just had to confirm because I had a feeling this was definitely the shortest one, and I'm correct by like 96 pages. So, 8 Nights in December by Keira Andrews. It's 100 pages. Okay. So 8 Nights in December is about a guy named Lucas who is an orphan. He is in college, and because he doesn't have, you know, anywhere else to go over for the holidays, he goes with his roommate, who's kind of obnoxious, but to spend Hanukkah with his roommate's family, which is very nice. And he ends up sharing the room with his roommate's brother, Nate, who is very different, very quiet and creative. He's a photographer. And over the 8 nights of Hanukkah, they, you know, get into a sort of like friends with benefits kind of thing that maybe starts getting a little bit deeper. Alright, now let's get out of spoke. Or, okay. So I could do romance again, or I could do Jewish, which I know at least one of my holiday books is two of mine are Hanukkah. Let's do Jewish. I feel like this is probably gonna not work. Oh, 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 we got so lucky. We got so lucky. Winter vibes. Yay. Perfect. Okay, for a Jewish book that has winter vibes, obviously 8 Nights in December could have fit this as well, but I already knew it would fit the shortest. So I grabbed Love You, a Latke by Amanda Elliot. Now, this is a straight romance. I don't read a ton of straight romances. They make me nervous because some of them I feel are just not the dynamic that I want to read about. So we'll see. Okay, so this one is a fake dating Hanukkah story. So what's her name? Abby is in charge of planning the sort of like Hanukkah display for her small Vermont town where she's the only Jewish person, which honestly sounds very nice of this like city council thing. Like that's very lovely. But she's having trouble getting together like vendors and stuff like that because she just doesn't have that many connections. And so she puts out sort of a thing online for like asking for help, and it turns out that there is one other Jewish person in her town, and it's the guy that comes into her coffee shop every morning that is like annoyingly cheerful. And so she's like, of course. So he needs a nice Jewish girl to bring home for Hanukkah because his parents won't leave him alone about it. So they make a deal to do some fake dating, and if, you know, Hanukkah goes well with Seth's family, then he will introduce her, Abby, to all the vendors and connections and everything that she needs. So it sounds like a mutually beneficial arrangement, and it also sounds like a Hallmark movie, which I love. So I'm very excited. All right. I'm not even gonna say it this time. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So that's fantasy. None of my holiday books are fantasy. Well, one of them I think actually is. Or I could go back through the center. That'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. So it'd be the third one, which I actually can't get to a romance that way. So I might as well just go fantasy. Okay. Fuck. It's a hardback. The book that I was thinking of that might be holiday and fantasy is definitely not a hardback. So, alright, a fantasy book that is a hardback. I kind of cheated on this one a little bit. So there is a fantasy book that I need to read this month. I don't own it. I picked it for my book club that is meeting in January, and I haven't gotten it yet. So therefore, I'm fudging on this a little bit. It could be a hardback. There is a hardback that exists. I just don't own it, but I also don't own the paperback. So I picked that one. I'm very sorry. It was just, I don't have any holiday hardbacks, and I don't really want to go like wildly, like, you know, seasonally inappropriate. That's just not the mood that I'm in right now, and I know that I have to read this book, and it is available in a hardback. So I will be reading The Sins on Their Bones. It is a little, I don't know if I would define it as a love triangle, but essentially there is a king who is still married, but his estranged husband has, I believe, taken over and exiled this king. I'm doing this from memory, so I don't remember the names. I'm very sorry if that makes it difficult. But so this king, you know, needs to get his land back because under the control of his husband is not good. So he has his spy master, and they're gonna, you know, infiltrate and figure out how to take him down. And, you know, the king doesn't want to kill his husband, but also he's kind of falling in love with the spy master. And it's all sorts of, it sounds complicated, but I kind of like it. And so it sounds very complicated, but I think it also sounds fun. But I also do know that it has some dark themes, so beware of that. So I will be reading that. Very sorry if people are upset about my little fudging of my own rules. But at this point, I'm kind of considering it Schrodinger's book. You know, is it a paperback? Is it a hardcover? Who knows? It's both. So just let me have this one, okay? Okay. So far, this has not been the best. Let's see what happens. I'm just gonna go miscellaneous. I'm just gonna go. Oh, bother. Highest rated. I don't have the highest hopes right now. Okay, a miscellaneous book that is my highest rated. I was not going to go through every book that I own. I was also not, because Storygraph doesn't let you sort by rating. And I also wasn't going to put every book that I haven't read on my my TBR into Goodreads in order to do that. I wasn't going to do that either. So because I want it to be holiday themed, I looked at the 6 holiday books that I have, and I selected the one with the highest rating. So The Nightmare Before Kissmas by Sara Raasch. So I've been seeing this on Bookstagram quite a bit. And I had actually already seen it, you know, being promoted on Amazon, but I hadn't gotten it yet. And then I went to Barnes & Noble and I saw it on, you know, one of their displays, and I'm like, well. So I went ahead and grabbed it. It's essentially a Nightmare Before Christmas retelling, but queer, and kind of from the opposite standpoint. So Nicholas used to really love Christmas. He is the son of Santa Claus. Yeah. But he feels that it's become, you know, very commercialized, very like PR focused, and not about, you know, the point of the holiday. Oh, I guess he goes by Cole. His name is Nicholas, but he goes by Cole, which is nice. And so he goes to a bar and ends up making out with like this really hot guy. But the really hot guy is, I believe, the heir. Yes, he's Hex, the Prince of Halloween. And so, I don't know, it just sounds so cute. And I love Nightmare Before Christmas, as I think most alternative millennials do. And I think most people. But I'm very excited for this. It's definitely my most anticipated. It's part of the reason I'm just like, you know what, I'm just going to focus on holiday books because I really want to read this one. So, okay, so what is probably my last roll? I have finally gotten out of a spoke. I don't have a lot of high hopes now for my holiday books. I was really looking forward to reading a lot of them. And I think maybe I can do 2. 2. Fine, yes, okay, I will add another book. So that means that I will roll again that for the 7th book, and then we'll do an 8th book. That's fine. 4, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, just classic. 2, 3, 4, just classic. 1, 2, 3, 4, just roll again. I do have a classic on the book that I've hell, alright. Classic. That's not helpful. Oh my god. It's a mystery. That's really not helpful. Maybe I can spin that. Right. For a mystery book, I don't have many. I think I had 4. I'm not a mystery reader. I get very frustrated, actually, by mysteries because I just want to know. But I've had Snow Falling on Cedars by David Guterson? Yeah. I've had this for many years, 5 years at least, if not more. And it is a murder mystery, but it also brings in sort of like a discussion about race. And so it takes place on an island north of Puget Sound. So I think that's in Washington, I think. It's kind of a small-ish area, but it takes place in 1954 where a local fisherman has been found suspiciously drowned. And the main suspect is a Japanese American named Kabuo Miyamoto. And in the case of figuring out like what happened to this fisherman, a lot of feelings are brought up from World War II and how the Japanese Americans during that time were treated, because they were essentially put in concentration camps in the US. And so there's a lot of like racial tension as well. So I think it sounds really interesting. Obviously it doesn't fit the vibe of the other books that are on my TBR, but it is a mystery book and it mentions snow. So that's kind of why I picked it. But I also saw that, because my dad uses Storygraph, not as much as I do, but he apparently had this book marked as something he wants to read. And so I thought it'd be fun to sort of like talk about with him or let him borrow my copy after I'm done. So what is probably the last roll on this not very holiday themed TBR? 3. 1, 2, 3, just romance. 1, 2, 3, just Jewish. 1, 2, 3, just roll again. Let's just go ahead and get a romance again. Ooh, okay, great, yay, most anticipated, yay! Okay, a romance book that is my most anticipated. So this is most anticipated after all the other holiday books have already been designated for their categories. I am looking forward to it. I'm a little wary about the author. So this is the Merriest Misters by Timothy Janovsky. I have read 2 of Janovsky's books. The first one, which I think was Never Been Kissed, it was fine. And then I listened to You're a Mean One, Matthew Prince, last Christmas. I did like that one better. And so I'm giving this a chance. I don't know, there's something about the writing style that feels very, I don't know, doesn't quite fit well with me, but like it's not bad. Like both of them were fine. I would say that You're a Mean One, Matthew Prince was good. So I'm hoping this will be great. It is kind of a queer retelling of the Santa Claus that had, what's his name? Tim Allen? Yeah, those movies. So essentially, Patrick and Quinn have been married for a year, and like as soon as they got married, their marriage or their relationship sort of became kind of like stagnant under like the realities of like adulting, which I get. Until on Christmas Eve, Patrick comes to Quinn, wakes him up in the night, and says that he thinks he killed a man, which was Santa Claus. And so they sort of have to step in, fulfill the Santa Claus duties in order to make sure that like Christmas happens. But afterwards, they don't just get to go back home, they are actually taken to the North Pole because there has to be a Santa Claus in order for there to be a Christmas. And so they decide to stay married for another year, see if being Santa Claus helps with the relationship, and seeing if they can figure all of this out, or if they will be, the sentence says, will Patrick and Quinn be stuffing coal in each other's stockings come next Christmas? So I think it sounds really interesting, so I am actually looking forward to reading it, and hopefully I like it more than the other books that I read by this author, which again, they were fine. But I want the whole vibe. And then finally, only other book that I did not manage to fit on my TBR that I have to read is The Gold Bat by PG Wodehouse. It is one of his school stories, which means that it takes place at a boys' school. There's usually lots of mentions of cricket in them. They're not my favorite. They're the books that he published like first. I don't remember when this one was published, but I'm gonna say between like 1909 and 1915. Yeah, they're usually just they're not as polished as his later books. So that one will be interesting. But yeah, I managed to fit 4 of the 6 holiday books that I own in this TBR, which I feel pretty good about. And the other ones I'm kind of into. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But leave me a comment. Let me know if you have read any of these books or if any of these books are on your TBR. Like the video, subscribe, click the notification bell, all that good stuff. So that way you can get notified when I upload a vlog, because that's how you get my like in real time thoughts of these books. But otherwise, I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.